Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to as-Salihin podcast. My name is Aziz Piru, and we'll be discussing a topic that is very relevant to the community, from wealth to legacy. But I'm not alone today. I've invited a special guest, and this special guest of mine has been serving the community for the last 41 years. He has served as chairman of Prudential Malaysia, was co-founder of BHLB Pacific Trust, now part of Principal, which is one of the largest trust company in Malaysia. Currently, he serves as chairman of Rock Wheels. Before that, he was also M-Bank Executive Director. So without further ado, let me welcome Encik Johari Low Abdullah to our podcast session today. Joe, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
So basically, Joe, today we called you because there's a special topic that we would like to discuss that is relevant to the community outside, and it's a topic that we called wealth to legacy. Many people get confused. What is wealth? What is legacy? So we always feel wealth and legacy is one and the same thing. But however, I believe there's a space. There is a space. There's a differential topic or meaning of wealth and legacy. Perhaps maybe you can give us insight from your point of view. What is wealth? What is legacy?
Big difference. Big difference. Wealth is what you have, huh? What you currently have while you're alive. That's what you have. Legacy is what you leave behind. Okay, and there's a gap in between. The gap is either the death or mental incapacity, which a lot of people forget. Because when you don't have your mental faculties, you can't handle your assets, right? Somebody else has to handle it. And if you don't take care of that situation, if that happens, then there's a very big gap.
Yeah.
I'll just give you an example of, to highlight this difference. And it's where, especially where you come, if you have wealth that comes from business, okay? If you're a businessman and you have a successful business and somebody has to continue it after your death or incapacity. And that's where planning is needed, because take, for example, if you have a successful business as a asset light means not many assets, but very profitable company or service. Take, for example, medical service as a doctor or lawyer or accountant. That's an asset light business, no? Now, when somebody passes away in that field, the value of his business may completely disappear or go down a lot because he has not planned the succession properly. Okay, and I know personally a friend. In fact, I know both of them are friends, partners in this very successful accounting firm, right? And they were very small before, and then they became the top 10, one of the top 10. And because one of them was planned ahead and decided to do a buy-sell agreement, that's when the succession was well planned from I think worth 20 million or so, it became now over 100 million, right? And that planning succession was because of the children. They trained the children to take over, and it was all legally drafted.
So correct. I mean, I think you have touched on a very important point, Joe. But basically, I think most of the people succeed in building wealth, but they forgot the part of creating a legacy. That's where the whole process comes in. That's where you touched just now. That's where we find wealth you create, but it doesn't remain because legacy has not been.
Yeah.
You agree with me?
Yes, definitely.
So that's basically that's the main issue, lah, huh? Yeah. So the risk of unplanned wealth, if you don't plan this, what are the issues that you face? What are the risks you feel? One will face as far as non-planning of wealth that you have accumulated.
Well, I think one of the biggest, there are many issues if you don't plan, but one of the biggest issue, in fact, I would say 90% of the problem comes from a lack of clear succession plan. I'm talking about business.
Yeah.
Of course, there are other assets, non-business and all that may be valuable. But in most cases, for most families, the wealth comes from business, a large part of it. So even if you have a small kedai, that may be 50% of your assets. You get me? So the major problem is the lack of clear succession. Who gets what? Right? Who has a say? How do they resolve disputes among themselves? These are the questions that should have been properly laid out before the businessman dies. For example, I just give a very simple example so that you all can relate. Supposing you own your own very successful restaurant, like Village Park or Sri Pandi. Before lah, not now. Or Sri Muni. You know, if something happens to you and you are running the show and you haven't planned anything, especially if you're a sole proprietorship or a partnership, the whole thing can go down the drain. Where else it maybe produced 100,000 profit for the family every month, suddenly nothing is generated after that, right? So it's a major issue that a lot of people overlook, okay, because they are running it successfully. They are so busy, they have no time to.
But yeah, agree. But at times, Joe, people think planning is later part lah. Don't plan now. When I grow old only I plan. There's always that kind of thing. I don't have to do a will now. When I reach age of 55, 60, after I'm going to die at 75. So is that a big issue or a fallacy?
No. It's a very big issue. The point is that you don't know when you're going to go.
Correct.
That's up to Allah.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
And so you can go tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can go while I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah.
So, another good example is the family members of the line clear. Line clear. No?
Yeah.
The old man in Penang.
Restaurant. Yeah.
The old man died without succession plan because he didn't expect to die so early.
Yeah.
And what happened? They 3 cousins in that family, the 3 lines of brothers. They then agreed among themselves to do rotation, right? To take care of the business and earn the income. And what happened? After that, they fight. They fight on the rotation. It's all verbal, mind you.
Yeah, yeah.
And the only basis was the license was issued by the council based on this verbal agreement. The license issued the 3 names based on this verbal agreement. So they couldn't resolve it. They had to go to the council to try and sort it out. Couldn't sort it out. They had to get the Association of Indian Muslim Restaurants in Penang to try and sort it out. And then finally, they had to go to court. It took them several years. And now it's come back to operation. But, in the meantime, it disrupted
The business,
a lot of the business.
So basically, from what you are saying to me, or you're mentioning, it requires proper planning, and also looking forward, not only looking current, looking forward down the road, because we are looking at the element of trust, structured, look at a deed that need to be done. So there's a lot of thought through process must come through before you're not just talking currently. Down the road, 80 years, what will happen? Like the case of unclear, it says there's so much. The first level of trust, there's no issue because it's the first generation. Remember, you enter the second, third generation, that's where the whole thing comes to picture. That's where the fight comes in, which has been proven. So from here we can see the picture of why planning is important, structure the future, how you're going to drive your business, and who takes on later on. Because we know at times when you're looking at plus, there are only some children that is only interested in that business. So maybe the plan of which part of the asset of the person goes to which part of your children comes in, very important, because the rest can get other part of it. But the business, there is still that continuity part. Would you agree with me what I'm saying?
Yeah. But even then, the risk is still in loss of control of a group of businesses. For example, I have another client who, after the plan that we did for him, we wanted to go on to a next generation one. He didn't want to do it. He said, "My children, my 3 sons are very good. They will take care of each other."
I see.
Of course, this is always a problem, right? When father is around, everybody is very obedient. Yes, Papa. Yes, Papa. But when the father is no longer here, they fight. Because money is concerned, wife is influencing them, and so on, right? And there's this client that I mentioned. He has a very big business, very successful business, and in 3 companies. 3 companies. One is a supermarket business, grocery distribution and all that. The other is trading arm that imports and distributes logistics. The third one is the logistics one, the lorry transport, the truck transport. Okay, there are 3 companies, and he had 3 sons by coincidence or by intent or what. So he said, "Oh, okay, I will give my 3 sons 1 company each." So that they don't quarrel. Everybody does their own, right? But they quarrel. When he was no more there, they quarrel. And you see, in a lot of business, when there's a group, there's synergy. Then so you have 1 + 1 + 1 is not 3, it becomes 4, no? You get me? Because there's a synergy involved. So when they fight and each one disagree with each other on how to run the business, and then each of them say, "Okay, I will run my own." What happened? They forget, when they run their own, they forget that the grocery business depends on the transport, which has been built up over years, that logistic ecosystem is with another company, right? And the trading part, again, depends on the grocery transactions.
Correct.
What to buy more, what to buy less. So what happened when they split out? All three failed. I mean, not fail, but the income came down a lot.
So how
It's
would
a
you,
real story, yeah.
how would you actually, in this case, how would you ensure that this thing doesn't happen, Joe? And then in case question is, okay, the father's thinking, okay, you take one, but how would you do? How would you, as a financial advisor, advise in terms of what kind of element or solution that you have?
We suggested a trust. We suggested a trust because it's not just a wasiat that will solve the problem.
Right.
The wasiat is like I said, each boy gets one company. Okay, he think he has solved his problem, but he hasn't because the group control has been split up. So we got to put all three companies into a trust. For example, I mean, that's not the only solution. There's also foundations and PTAs, PTCs, and so on. But the trust is a very inexpensive and a practical way of doing it. So what happens is you put these three companies into a trust or whatever business you have, and you set down your rules as to governance, especially as to what can be sold, what cannot be sold, as to how voting should be done, as to whether the wife can interfere or not. Do they have a vote? You get me? I mean, it's not, I don't want to be gender biased, as to whether the spouse can be interfering or not, and so on. And then when they go to the next generation, then how do they vote? Do they vote by family branches, or do they vote by, each individual? See, these are issues that we made, and then when they're not happy or they want to keep track of what's happening because some will be working in the business, some may not be working in the business. Then they have to have governance structure where they say, okay, the family meets once a month or something like that, once a quarter, once half year, and the ones running the business will report, and so on. No? And then if there are major decisions like should we sell the land or something, then the family will vote for it, right? And if there's a dispute, there should be some provision as to how this dispute can be settled. Maybe Uncle Joe is the protector, mediator. He decides, something like that, right? Or maybe you go to arbitration to try and avoid court dispute and so on, and disrupt the business. So you might provide for all this. So these are important structures. It doesn't cost a lot, but it makes a lot of difference in terms of value of the business after he's gone.
So basically, from what you've been explaining, that this is trust is something from wealth to legacy. Legacy involves trust, I believe so. So you need to create a trust to ensure legacy, right? So from here you can see that especially companies or individual who have companies and who thinks forward will have basically to look at consultation with a financial person or a trustee company in terms of building this, providing this kind of solution going forward.
Yeah, it will be really good to consult a financial planner or one of the persons representing somebody like as-Salihin, right? And one of the issues also in terms of succession control, one of the biggest issues for dispute is liquidity. You see, you have to understand that when a person dies, right, whatever he leaves behind, he may be very rich or asset rich, but very poor in cash, no liquidity.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is that if you leave it to the normal course of event, even though he may say who gets what, your problem is there's a period of inactivity, right?
Correct.
Because the trustee or the executor have to gather the information, put it into a proper form, check and all that, then go to apply through the lawyers, apply for probate, and it takes time. In the meantime, how do the family survive without cash? You see, then they will have to borrow from relatives and so on. So this, I would say, from my experience, is at least 50% of the problem that gives rise to disputes. You see, because they are under pressure to pay for school fees, to pay for medical, and so on. And the executor seems to be taking a long time and so on. You see, so the best planning would include liquidity,
Correct.
as a part of the planning. You know? Another common issue that I find from my experience, the other high percentage of dispute comes when you have listed companies involved.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, when the owner of a company that goes listing, typically most of them will, in fact, even the merchant banks or the investment banks will plan for them to put all this into a holding company, holdco, family holding company, right? Everything. Then in the structure, you have a problem, you know, because you have to follow the securities rules, right? And it may be that you can't sell because you want to call for control.
Correct.
It may be that the wasiat or the trust specifies that you can't sell. Let's say it's in a trust and the old man says, no, you cannot sell this company. So although it is very rich, very profitable, but if let's say the biggest beneficiary there says, no, we have to keep this money for future expansion, and the minor beneficiary who is hard up for cash, right? He may not be able, he can see it, but he cannot eat it. You know? There's macam looking at the aquarium, see the fish, the cat see the fish, but cannot eat, right? So, and that's when they start to cause trouble. They look for faults, question you this, question you that. That's when the fight starts. The ones running the business don't like to be questioned. The ones not running the business very suspicious that, hey, how come you can live in luxury? I'm like a pauper, although I have a big share. Okay, so this is.
So if you go on that basis, Joe, how would a trust company comes into picture? What does the role of the trust company? That to me is something that we have to talk about.
Yes, correct. Very good point. So it's not just the structure.
Yeah.
That is important. It's also the person implementing that.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you put it in the trust and you leave it to a reputable and respectable trustee who does his job professionally, you at least will be assured when you are gone that he will act as a trustee under the law, follow the law. He won't breach all the various compliance issues that need to be done. He will do it independently of the beneficiaries. He won't be influenced by beneficiaries, for example, or beneficiaries pressurizing him. He
No
won't
conflict
be-
of interest lah. Huh?
No conflict, because it doesn't matter to him.
Yeah.
You're all beneficiaries. Why should I go out of my way to help one instead of the other? And he also wouldn't have that bias that, let's say, family relatives will have. No, usually we are human, right? We'll prefer this person to that person. Or we don't like this one who is rude.
Yeah.
So make it difficult for him to get his money, or this is human. So when you have a trustee who is professionally run, he then will be doing it independently. And also importantly, within the law. Very important. For example, there are many cases of personal trustees who either ignore the law or don't know the law. Okay, and the most common one is failure to file tax.
Oh yeah. That
Failure to file tax, and then they distribute to the beneficiaries. And then a taxman comes and say, "Hey, hello, the last 3 years you didn't
pay tax.
pay tax." We have one case where we had to solve their problem. The owner was a businessman, very successful business, and he didn't file his returns. His wife was the executrix. Didn't file tax returns for 3 years. And then Inland Revenue caught up with it and say, where are your records? She said she don't have zero records. And what happens? The Inland Revenue say, well, if you don't have a record, I will look at the past 10 years and I'll assume a growth to it, and I'll assume the revenue and income for the last 3 years.
Huge lah.
Yeah, the tax bill came out to 700,000.
Oh wow.
Is that a lot?
Yeah.
It's a lot, right?
Definitely. So I think this arises out of poor planning lah, right? Poor planning and the ignorance of the law, right? Many people sometimes don't understand. In case I mean, like what we are doing now, a will, for example. One of the key factors we look at is income tax, whether it has been paid or not. This sometimes people tend to overlook. Now, as a trusted company, as an executor, we have to ensure that's been done before we talk even distribution.
Yeah, not only they tend to overlook the testator's tax position, they also tend to overlook the estate's income tax.
Yeah.
For example, if you have an estate and you're collecting rent,
Yeah.
you have to report that,
Yeah.
and you have to pay tax on it,
Correct.
right?
So all these things come into picture. I think basically that's main reason. I mean, we talk of wealth to legacy, even our own wealth, or there is an executor to the wealth. Yes, and it is not properly done, it becomes an issue. If you don't talk of wealth to legacy, we are talking of going forward, planning. But even currently, when you talk of distribution, that is also an issue, because the first thing will be your LHDN tax. Whether you got no clearance, you cannot talk of distribution.
Well, you distribute, you are personally liable.
Yeah.
You can't get from the beneficiaries, sorry for you.
Yeah. So you as an executor will be responsible for the whole process. So all these things we have to basically make the people aware. Why planning is important. When you talk wealth, it's not about accumulation. You're talking of distribution. Before that, what are the liabilities of the so-called person who passes on need to be settled. Net off only you can talk distribution. This is basically, I think, for the conventional and also Islamic is almost the same. I don't think there's much difference. Right? So these are the things. Sometimes, Joe, we find problem. Beneficiaries coming to say, hey, please, why is it taking too long to settle? Why can't I get disbursement now? My father passed away last week. Can I get money tomorrow? Without thinking the legal consideration that need to be done.
You got to pay liabilities first.
Yes.
Under the law.
People don't see that, That's why. And and your current moment, maybe 70% doesn't have estate planning. 70% of the population doesn't have estate planning. That's why all issues. If you look at what we are saying, 90 billion frozen. Why? Because of all these things.
There's another what do you call situation that I commonly come across is when the executor or the trustee is not professional. So he invests the funds, before distribution. He has to invest it first, right? And wait for the tax and so on. So he then goes into investment misadventures. Right?
High risk, risk adventures. Investment with risk.
He gets persuaded, let's say, by somebody who says, "Oh, this one yield, very high yield. No risk, low risk. Much better than bank deposit." This is what happens. Then he put the estate's money into the investment and lose it all. Think of the beneficiaries, especially the minors who are dependent on it for their future education and so on.
So that's why you're talking of, Mrs. You touched, we're talking of as-Salihin per se. If we want to invest, we invest in guaranteed funds. They're either fixed deposit, otherwise, because our responsibility is to the beneficiaries to ensure at least principal plus any returns. So we don't look at taking risk on money that's not ours lah.
Or you put it into a licensed fund manager, regulated by SC.
Correct. So Joe, I think we have covered quite a big area and big discussion. I hope the people outside understand the importance of a legacy, the importance of wealth planning. This is, to me, is very important to ensure that continuity and also to look at equality as far as distribution is concerned, and the roles and responsibility of a trustee. Because as what we mentioned is, when you're talking a trustee, you're talking of no conflict involvement. A party taken on with professional, sound laws, sound knowledge of the laws, as well as the sound principles of accounting. That to me is key lah. So your advice, Joe, what's your advice to the audience outside as far as estate is concerned or wealth is concerned? What would you advise them?
As I mentioned earlier, right? You don't know when you go. Right? So plan ahead. Plan as if you may not be here tomorrow. That's number one. Number two, don't leave a mess behind. Don't leave a mess behind. It's really bad. It's very painful for your family if you leave a mess behind. You might as well plan it properly, right? And number three is that you leave a meaningful legacy, right? If you plan properly, you might give them guidance, advice in the legacy instrument. You might give them governance structures that prevent them from over borrowing or overspending. And you give them principles of business, for example, as a good guiding document. For that, then I think your family will cherish it forever.
So many of them, Joe, always think, I have to come up with money lah. I got to pay lah. You understand? So there's avoidance of pay. If I don't pay now, there's no issue lah. So this is always the issue is, if I want to do a will, I got to come up money. Why should I? You understand? These are the things people talk about. Even to do a simple will, 1,600 ringgit. Wow, I got to come up with 1,600 without thinking of the implication you mentioned. Or what happens if they don't do the will.
But think of it as insurance, right? If you are scared that your house will be burned, you take out insurance, right? You pay premium. So aren't you scared that you leave the thing in a mess and everything gets distributed wrongly, gets eaten away by tax.
Yeah. Or or even though if you appoint an individual executor, the money will not go to the intended purposes because that is also, yes. So you have all these issues coming in. Good, Joe. Anything else, Joe, on any other message? Clear? So I hope all of us outside understand the importance of planning. To me, is key. This is my message to all, including to myself, that we need to plan to ensure that there is continuity as far as our assets that we left behind and when we leave this world. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
Hope to see you again for the next round.
Thank you.
Right, bye-bye.